When Frank Fritz was unexpectedly let go from American Pickers in March 2020, fans were left shocked. But that was just the beginning. The real heartbreak came in September 2024 when news of his passing reverberated through the collectors community. As devastating as his death was, it wasn't even the most shocking part. What truly sent chills down people's spines were the rumors about his final words. Words that left a lasting impression on those who heard them. Just when it seemed like the news couldn't get any more overwhelming, Frank's estate revealed something so staggering that it left everyone speechless. But before diving into those revelations, let's take a moment to reflect on the life of one of the most passionate collectors the world has ever known. Born on October 11th, 1963, in Davenport, Iowa, Frank entered the world with a natural curiosity that set him apart. While most kids were busy chasing fly balls or reading comic books, Frank was in pursuit of history. If an object had a story, no matter how small or insignificant, he wanted to know its past. Old coins, rusty beer cans, discarded stamps, even obsolete razor blades. To Frank, every item had a history, a purpose, and a place in someone's life. As he grew older, his passion only deepened. What started as collecting small trinkets expanded into bigger treasures. Motorcycles, dirt bikes, and rare memorabilia, each carrying its own piece of history. Flea markets became his battleground, estate sales his playground. If there was an old barn filled with relics from the past, Frank was the one knocking on the door, eager to dig through the dust. However, his journey into the world of antiques didn't happen right away. For nearly 25 years, Frank worked as a fire inspector in Iowa, a serious job that required attention to detail and a commitment to safety. Yet, his love for collecting never faded. Surrounded by old firehouses and abandoned buildings, he found hidden treasures waiting to be uncovered. This is when his passion for firehouse memorabilia began. He started collecting vintage helmets, fire alarms, and extinguishers, soon realizing these relics were not just fascinating but valuable. What began as a hobby turned into a side business. Eventually, Frank made the bold decision to leave his stable job and follow his true passion. He opened Frank's Finds, a small antique shop specializing in firemen's gear and rare collectibles. At first, it was a modest venture, but little did he know that this small store would lay the foundation for an incredible career. Before American Pickers made Frank Fritz a household name, he was just another collector with a sharp eye for hidden treasures. But he wasn't alone in his passion. Mike Wolf, another Iowa native, shared the same love for picking. Though they didn't start as best friends, their mutual obsession for antiques brought them together. While Frank was content running his shop, Mike had bigger ambitions. He believed picking could be more than just a hobby. It could be a business, even a show. After much persuasion, Frank joined him, and together they hit the road in search of forgotten relics. This partnership turned into a reality TV phenomenon. When American Pickers premiered on the History Channel in 2010, it became an instant hit, drawing over 3.1 million viewers for its first episode, one of the network's most successful debuts. But the show's magic wasn't just in the antiques they uncovered. It was in the chemistry between Mike and Frank. Their excitement was genuine, and their friendship was as real as it gets. Built over years of shared experiences in the world of antiques, their partnership became inevitable. Frank and Mike earned respect for their fair deals and deep knowledge, and with cameras rolling, they invited audiences along for the ride, creating a sense of adventure and camaraderie. Mike Wolf had the business instincts, always on the lookout for the next big-ticket item, while Frank was the heart of the operation. He had a unique ability to make people feel at ease, turning tense negotiations into friendly conversations. Frank wasn't just about making money. He cared about the stories behind the items they uncovered. This authenticity made him a fan favorite. Whether geeking out over a vintage motorcycle or sharing a laugh with a seller, viewers saw someone who truly loved what he did. For over a decade, American Pickers was a must-watch show. Week after week, Frank and Mike hit the road, digging through barns, garages, and junkyards in search of hidden treasures. Danielle Colby held down the fort at Antique Archaeology, and together, the trio had a dynamic that worked seamlessly. They weren't just business partners. They were friends chasing their passion. But no road trip lasts forever, and for Frank, the journey took an unexpected turn. His last appearance aired in March 2020. Given the uncertainty of the time, fans assumed he'd be back soon. What they didn't know was that behind the scenes, Frank was struggling with issues that would change everything. Frank rarely spoke about his personal struggles, but over time, some things became impossible to ignore. Fans noticed his weight fluctuating. Some assumed it was age, while others worried something more serious was at play. Eventually, Frank revealed he had Crohn's disease, a painful, unpredictable condition that attacks the digestive system. Initially, he managed it with a strict diet, losing 65 pounds, but Crohn's is a lifelong battle. The fatigue, pain, and uncertainty never left him, yet he continued doing what he loved. However, health issues weren't his only burden. Fame changes things, and for Frank, it wasn't always for the better. When American Pickers became a hit, life became more complicated. He was no longer just a guy hunting for antiques. He was a reality TV star. Everywhere he went, people expected him to be the same quick-witted, fun guy they saw on screen. But behind the scenes, the pressure was immense. His health deteriorated further, leading to major back surgery involving 185 stitches, 2 rods in his spine, and a grueling recovery. On top of that, he battled personal demons, including struggles with addiction. Initially, fans believed his absence was temporary, a time to heal. But as American Pickers entered its 21st season without him, questions mounted. In July 2021, Mike Wolfe made it official. Frank wasn't coming back. Mike released a statement expressing how much he'd miss Frank and wishing him the best. But Frank didn't buy it. In an interview, he called Mike's words hollow and shocked fans with a revelation. Throughout his entire recovery, Mike had never once called to check on him. Decades of working together, and not a single phone call. Frank made it clear their relationship was never as close as fans believed. While their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, the reality off-screen was different. Frank believed Mike had been looking for an opportunity to push him out for years, and his health struggles finally gave him that chance. Fans were shocked. How could two men who spent years traveling, laughing, and building a successful show together just fall apart? The internet erupted with debates. Some blamed Mike for abandoning Frank, while others pointed to Frank's personal struggles as the real reason behind his departure. Mike insisted the team cared about Frank, but getting him back on track had been difficult. The truth, as always, was more complicated. A mutual friend later revealed that years of working together, long days, high-pressure filming schedules, and the stress of maintaining a hit show had worn them down. Add Frank's health battles and personal struggles, and their partnership was bound to crack. Despite everything, when Frank's health took a turn for the worse, Mike didn't hesitate. In September 2024, after years of battling illness, Frank's body could no longer endure the fight. As his condition worsened, those closest to him saw the end was near. When a call came, Mike rushed to his side, proving that despite everything, their bond had never completely broken. A friend later described their fallout as not one dramatic betrayal, but the natural drift of two longtime colleagues weighed down by fame, stress, and personal battles. Fans had believed American Pickers painted an unbreakable friendship, but reality told a different story. Even after stepping away from television, Frank remained deeply involved in the antiques world. He adapted to changing times by launching a digital storefront and using social media to connect with collectors worldwide, not for fame, but to keep the spirit of picking alive. If there was one thing Frank loved as much as antiques, it was motorcycles. His passion for bikes started young, and one of his earliest big purchases was a 1964 Harley-Davidson, a choice that likely worried his parents but cemented his love for vintage rides. Over the years, he built an impressive collection, reflecting the same passion that had driven his entire life. Frank filled an entire barn with rare and classic motorcycles, but he didn't just collect them. He shared his knowledge with the world. In 2013, he wrote How to Pick Vintage Motorcycles, a book that covered everything from spotting hidden gems to maintaining classic bikes. It even included a section on vintage toy motorcycles, proving that his love for collecting wasn't just about big-ticket items, but also about the craftsmanship and stories behind every piece. Beyond his personal collection, Frank made it a priority to give back to the antiques community. He teamed up with experts to host antique fairs, exhibitions, and live events, connecting collectors and dealers who shared his passion. He also co-authored American Picker's Guide to Picking, offering fans a deeper look into the world of picking. What made Frank special wasn't just his eye for a great find. It was how he made history feel exciting. Whether discussing a rusty gas pump or a forgotten toy from the 1950s, he had a unique talent for bringing the past to life. For him, picking wasn't just about buying and selling. It was about keeping stories alive, one treasure at a time. While most assumed that Frank and Mike's feud would persist for years, everything changed after tragedy struck. In July 2022, Frank suffered a major stroke at home in Davenport. By the time help arrived, he was unresponsive, and the situation was critical. Rushed to the hospital, doctors worked to stabilize him, but the damage was severe. Fans anxiously waited for updates, hoping he would pull through. After nearly a month in the hospital, Frank was moved to a rehab facility to begin the long and exhausting road to recovery. A stroke doesn't just knock you down, it can strip away the independence you once took for granted. For a man who had spent years traveling the country, striking deals, and living life on his own terms, needing help with basic tasks was a cruel twist of fate. He could no longer care for himself, so a court appointed a guardian to handle his daily needs and a bank to oversee his finances. The freedom he had valued his entire life was suddenly out of reach. The cost of Frank's medical care reportedly reached $29,000 a month, a staggering figure that underscored just how much he had lost. Yet if there was one unexpected outcome from this tragedy, it was the shift in his relationship with Mike. In May 2023, after years of distance, bitterness, and unspoken words, Frank requested to see Mike. The two finally sat down face to face. A friend who witnessed the meeting described it as deeply emotional. Both men were in tears. Mike told Frank something that hit deep. No one could ever replace you. For the first time in years, the conversation wasn't about the show, the business, or who was right or wrong. It was about the friendship they had built long before American Pickers was even an idea. Two guys who had spent years traveling back roads, sharing the highs and lows of the picking world, finally found their way back to the strength of their bond. After years of battling illness, Frank's fight came to an end, but his passion for antiques and motorcycles remained undeniable. His collection wasn't just about objects, it was about preserving history. From dusty barns to estate sales, he had chased these treasures with the same fervor that defined his career. Some bikes bore the scars of countless adventures, their frames marked by years of wear, while others gleamed like new, meticulously restored to their former glory. Each motorcycle stood as a testament to his dedication to uncovering the past and preserving it for future generations. The discovery of Frank's extensive motorcycle collection gave fans and collectors a final glimpse into his world, one where history and adventure were inseparable. The thought of dispersing his carefully curated collection was heartbreaking, especially for those who understood his deep connection to every piece in his garage. As the auction approaches, it serves as both a tribute to Frank's legacy and a poignant reminder of the man who devoted his life to uncovering history's hidden treasures. Though Frank Fritz's passing marked the end of an era in the world of antiques and reality television, the stories behind each motorcycle and collectible live on, echoing the spirit of a man who never stopped chasing the past.